And I first want to say that this class is not just for women. It's about us learning about the women in our family, like different things that they've gone through throughout their lives. And we begin with what Indigenous women have looked like in history in terms of what's been written about them. Women have always been like uh, docile, quiet, inactive agents of their own lives, which is completely opposite, right? That's colonial history. And so we take a look at the other end of that, and we cover topics like activism, health and healing, women in economics, women in politics, women in activism, whether it's environmental, whether it's political. I mean, I think that Indigenous peoples, men and women, being an activist is just kind of part of our lives, right? And so in this course, we take a close look at what Indigenous women have done in activism. We also look at identities and stereotypes, like the word squaw. So there's a lot of different topics that we look at about Indigenous women. And so again, I want to say that this class is not just for women. I've always had men taking this class wherever I teach it. And I hope that more men would, so that way, they would learn about experiences that women in their family might have, gone through. So this time it was really fast this summer, and we did take a look at Indigenous women in history. We also looked at activism, health and healers, what medicine women, what that looked like, their experiences, and also working in the healthcare field and building the bridge between Western and cultural medicine. We looked at activism, and we looked at identities and stereotypes, because I think that's important to cover, because as Indigenous peoples, we experience that constantly, the stereotypes, the misconceptions, misunderstandings, appropriation, identity theft. So we got a chance to take a look at all of that. And Cadence is going to be presenting today. She's been with me now for, I think, maybe all of the classes I teach, if not most of them. And so I'm really looking forward to her presentation. I know that she's going to be presenting on women in activism. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to you, Cadence, and say good luck to you. And I'm proud of you, and thank you for presenting.
No problem. I like doing presenting. It helps me get out of my comfort zone more. Okay, so share, I think that's how you do it. Yeah. Okay, so this is my topic. Okay, hang on. I'm still trying to get used to this. Um, Hold on one second. Full screen. Yeah. Um, so this is my topic. I mainly want to focus on these two because me and my family, we go to the march for like the Wounded Knee like every sometimes sometimes in the year. And whenever I go to the grave, I can feel like the people who went through most of this. So this is my topic. Indigenous women in activism, American Indian movement, or Wounded Knee. So what is American Indian movement? Well, it began in Minneapolis in the summer of 1968. It it began taking form when 200 people from the Indian community turned into a meeting called by a group of Native American community activists. They were led by three people, which is who are George Mitchell, Dennis Banks, and Clyde Belcourt. And this is what it looks like. Um, I like I like the Wounded Knee because like I said, me and my family, we traveled to the march we traveled to there, the Wooden Knee March, and I like it, but I also want to learn more about how it began becoming a wooden knee. So it was a massacre on December 29th, 1890, and the slaughter was approximately 150 to 300 Lakota individuals by the United States Army. And it broke any organized resistance to reservation life and assimilation to Euro-American culture. So this is like the timeline. I actually got the website for this timeline. Um, Let me pull it up. So this is the timeline from 1968 of the American Indian movement. It was founded in Minnesota to protect, help, and preserve of Indian and Native American Indian Native communities and restore policies and land. In 1969, the occupation at Alcatraz, the members of the American Indian movement arrived at Alcatraz about 2 weeks, and they returned to Minneapolis, bringing new ideas about confrontational activism and land seizure as a tool to confront the federal government's Indian policies. And stage one was Genesis, stage two was social unrest. Stage three was enthusiastic mobilization. And the timeline was 1970. The policies restored. And the president named Nixon, he formally ends the termination policies that was established in the 1950s and announces a new policy of self-determination without termination. And the administration introduces two legislative proposals supported Indian self-rule. So here's the proposals. I think these are proposals. And 1973, the Wooden Knee number 2. It was because the Lakota tribe on Pine Ridge Reservation attempt to have the BIA backhead of the tribal administration that was impeached, but they received resistance from the federal government and American Indian Movement, or in short, AIM, seizes the control of Wooden Knee, site of the 1890s massacre, and the perimeter is placed under siege for 71 days. But more than 500 rounds of ammunition are fired into AIM's bunkers, and 2 Indians and 1 FBI agent are killed. Nearly 1,200 people are arrested. And then there's the timeline that changed from 1975 to 1978. If you guys would like to take a look at that, or yeah. And then finally, the 1994 Walk for Justice, which is stage 4 maintenance. Yeah. And the AIM's leaders, AIM or American Indian Movement, however you guys would like me to call it, they decided to be native and undertake a nationwide that is called Walk for Justice, and the beginning of Alcatraz Island bring attention to the continued unjust imprisonment of Leonard Peltier and to remember those who have passed in the 78 during the movement. And stage 5 is termination and integration of change. And the timeline, yeah, like I explained it. So the timeline for this one, for the Rudiny, it went back from 1869 to 1872, all the way from 1890. As you guys can see the timeline right here. I like focusing on timelines too. And why did they both stood out to me? Because I want to learn more about how did Woodeny and American Indian become a thing in the first place. But also to I want people to know the history of the Woodeny. Mainly for me because I go to the march every sometimes in March because I because like I said, me and my family we travel to the march to see how it goes and also support it. But I also want to see the next generation to learn about this too, and hopefully it would keep going on. And and this is my bibliography. So thank you guys. And Susanna, thank you for pre let me present and I'll try to fix a few things that we're tweaking, but anything else. But thank you for letting me join this class and I really love this topic when I saw it in a lecture. I actually saw the Woodeny and the American Indian movement, but I really loved the topic. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cadence. Really quickly, can I ask you, so um in terms of because I offered an extra credit option of this week. I'm just letting everybody know to for students to watch the documentary Warrior Women. And
Mhm.
so I'm just wondering if there was anything about women in particular activism that you studied or that you notice when you go to the marches that stands out to you.
When I go to the marches, like I see like many women and especially my mom, she she's a part of the Indian American Indian movement. She has a tattoo actually of it on her arm. But what I mostly love about her is that when there's an organization going on, she steps right in and gets into it. Like she would do anything for it. And most of our relatives from um I forgot where the march was. I think it was somewhere like in Rosebud or something. Like I see many women participating, like many men, children, grandparents, even even the people who organized it. I would like see some women in it, and it makes me feel happy that that we're still doing this till this day.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I
No
love hearing
problem.
that
No problem. But I just want thank you for asking me that question, by the way.
for sure.
Anything else for everyone? You guys got any questions for me?
Yeah, we will definitely open this up for Q&As. Um, oh, I see some good stuff in the chat here. I see Kiara she said my grandma, um, Lorelei Decora was a big part of AIM. Very cool. Yeah, any other questions from anybody or comments? This can also be a share space about the semester as well.
I just want to say that it's striking to see that you found such happiness and family togetherness that grew out of such tragedy. So, like, do you see that transformation? That's healing happening, and I really like to witness that. So, thank you for letting me be a witness to that.
No problem. Well, thank you guys again for letting me present. I love presentations, especially my professor Susanna, who encourages everyone to present and as love presenting.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Cadence, for sharing. And if you guys do have any questions, feel free to reach out to Cadence or to Dr. Haliga. Um, I am also in this class, and there's a lot of great information. So I was really excited to see you present to Cadence on an area that I did not focus on for my final project. So this was really cool to see more of a deep dive into some more of the material. So thank you very much for sharing. One question I wanted to ask you, just because, right, I'm kind of taking the course myself too. Um, I guess one thing I was curious about is, what is something that you would like to see in the future for Indigenous women, right? I know this course is talking about the past, and there's also a lot of really cool momentum, like you're talking about with your mom and with movements and things like that. Is there anything you can think of right now?
I I just want the future, like more of people knowing about our history and American Indian movement and what it mean of like I just want the generation to keep going. Like and for me too. And I would like to learn much more from my mom and from you guys too.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for being here. And thank you again, Cadence, for sharing, and for Dr. Haliga for encouraging your students too as well. If you guys do have questions come up, please feel free to share them. And other than that, I hope you all have a great rest of your semester and an early weekend coming up here. But yeah, thank you guys very much. And Cadence, thank you very much for presenting.
No problem.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Cadence. Doksha.
Doksha.